My name is Christopher Turner. I've been a game developer for 20 years, and I've been a college professor teaching game art for 13 years. Every year, when I teach my character class, I make a character along with my students. For most years, this has been a character I simply throw away once complete, or they sit on a hard drive somewhere until forgotten. A couple of years ago, a student asked why I don't do anything with my work, and I took them up on their challenge. What resulted was a small section of a Star Wars The Mandalorian game. I made it look like a game leak to get a little more attention, and it worked. The video went viral. I saw many videos posted afterwards critiquing the work and trying to judge if my project was legitimate or not. One key area that everyone seemed to focus on, where my work fell apart, was animation. This has been the downfall of most of my work. I never learned how to animate, and any knowledge I have in the area is secondhand or guesswork. When it comes to start working on another project, I wanted to make a full game, not just a portion of what looked like a game. But I needed to do it without animation. Not an easy task. This is where fate stepped in. During the pandemic, my wife was cleaning out the guest bedroom at our home and came across a box from when we moved in. She brought it to me asking if I knew what it was, and when I opened it up, I knew exactly what it was. It was my career. A copy of each and every game I made, most of which still in the cellophane. I brought the box into my studio and started placing the games on the shelf, and that's when it happened. I found my next project. In amongst the PlayStation, Xbox, and PC games that I'd made throughout my career was a small game that I had never worked on. It was the first game made by this first studio I ever worked at. It happened before I was there. An old PC racing game called Snowcross Extreme. Now, while I hadn't worked on this game, that first studio I worked at had, and I felt a connection to it for that reason. More importantly, I knew right away that this was also the kind of game that I could make with very few animation. Any animations I needed, I could actually make them procedural. I decided I would create this devlog to help capture my process, but also to have a way of making myself accountable for implementing ideas that I had along the way, but might not know how to implement them. So kind of making sure I go through with some of the things I really want to do. First thing worth noting here, I'm not aiming for a retail project. While I can do most of the things needed to make a full game on my own, there's a couple of places where I just don't own the equipment or have the skill necessary to do it. Things like music. So, instead, I'll be looking at making a vertical slice of the game. A slimmed down version of the game that I can complete in a reasonable amount of time, but more importantly, something I can bring to companies and beg for sponsorship. That might get me just enough money to pay for some music or hire an actual animator. My first step is to get something in the engine up and running so I can see if I can make it even playable and fun. Before finished art or any finalized code is in place, I have to know if this is even possible, if it's going to work. So, I installed Snowcross Extreme on my PC and played a few races, jotting down how the game feels, what I think works, and what I think doesn't work. I'm also looking at other racing games in the same genre to see what other people have done in the space, and if their vision is any different than what I'm thinking of doing. I do want to make something fairly original. I'm looking forward to documenting this process and my journey, and I invite you to follow along as I piece together my first solo project. Stay tuned for more updates and more devlogs as I navigate these waters, and if you're interested in following my progress, think about subscribing to my channel so you don't miss any updates along the way. Lastly, feel free to share any of your opinions and thoughts in the comment section, and I'll see you in the next video.